Can the shaft city that is so damaged still be repaired? Under normal circumstances, it will definitely be sold as scrap metal. It is a spare part and can provide a 672-hour warranty. Before repair, the masters first need to disassemble the entire shaft city. It can be seen that the damage to the shaft city is still very serious. Not only the ball bearing inside the shaft city has serious wear and tear, but also the inner ring of the shaft city has serious cracks. Of course, this situation is not a problem for experienced repair masters. In order to repair the cracked position of the inner ring of the shaft city, the master needs to use an angle grinder to grind the cracked position first, because only after grinding it out can the welding area of the joint be increased. During welding, the master in charge of welding has completed the welding of the cracked position of the shaft city very quickly after a series of concentrated operations. Because the welded position is still very uneven, the master needs to use a lathe tool for detailed cutting. First, he only needs to cut the inner side flat. For the code points that have been worn out on the inner ring, all that can be done is additive welding. The master of Kingdom used electric welding skillfully, and it took 2.5 minutes to weld the surface of the shaft city. Then he only needed to use the polishing wheel to polish it carefully. After grinding the surface to be smooth, he only needed to use the angle grinder to grind the end face of one side. Then, for the welding position on the inner side of the shaft, he only needed to use the lathe tool to cut it flat. Since the ball inside the bearing has been seriously damaged, this 8-year-old master will use a caliper to make detailed measurements and comparisons to prevent the size of the processed ball from deviating. In order to obtain clear data for reference, he only needed to use the lathe tool to cut out the standard arc and then divide it according to the length. This processing process is relatively simple for a pre-level 8 worker. After a series of operations, a ball of the right size is processed. The master will then use an angle grinder to cut the finished ball bearings to ensure that the surface is smooth enough to reduce wear during subsequent use. The turning tool will be used for detailed cutting. After the masters have carefully repaired and processed the shaft city, it is finally processed. Then the master can assemble it together. Of course, after the shaft city is repaired, the overall strength will definitely not meet the original factory standards. It is used as a low-speed machine, which is no problem at all. What do you think of their repair skills? If there are 10 points, how many points are you willing to give?